this guy, and he was telling me his life story, and he said, yeah, I've been working with a windscreen wiper manufacturing company all my life. So I said, all your life? He said, man and boy. So I said, do you enjoy it? He went, so this guy gets a knock at the door, and there's a chap there, and he says, I'm really sorry, but I've run your dog over. I know. So he takes him to the vet, scoops him up, takes him to the vet straight away, and the vet looks at the dog and he said, right, we'll see what we can do. And he disappears into the surgery, and the guy's pacing the floor waiting to hear. And the vet comes out and says, I've got good news and I've got bad news. He said, what's the bad news? He said, well, unfortunately, we're going to have to remove each of your dog's legs. I know. And he said, well, what's the good news? He said, well, the good news is we've got this new technology now, and we can replace each leg with a tin can. Have you heard it? You will do if you walk past your house. So these good friends have known each other many, many years. They sat on a park bench together, and one of them's looking really miserable, and her mate says, what is the matter with you? So she says, well, my husband's gone and bought me some flowers. Oh, that's a nice thing, isn't it? So she says, no, it means I've got to lie on my back with my legs in the air for the next 3 days. So my mate says, why have you not got a vase? Right, so the next one is another dog story, I'm afraid. So guy goes to the vet with his dog, and the vet says, I'm really, really sorry, but your dog has passed away. So he says, well, I don't believe you. So he says, well, looking at the symptoms, he's definitely passed away. So he said, well, I want a second opinion. So he says, okay. Well, my time's 500 quid, so if you want a second opinion, you must be prepared to pay more. So he says, okay. So anyway, he sits there, the vet disappears, and all of a sudden this beautiful chocolate Labrador walks in, comes right up to his dog, sniffs his dog, turns around and goes out. The guy's thinking, what the hell's that all about? The next minute, this gorgeous, long-haired, fluffy cat comes in, jumps on the bench, sniffs his dog, and disappears. So he's like, this is really weird. The next minute, the vet comes in. The vet comes in and he says, right, I can confirm the dog has sadly died, and that's £1,000. He went, £1,000? Where did you get to that? So he said, well, 500 for me, as you know, but you've had a lab report and a PET scan. And the last one I need to use my hands, so I'm not quite sure how to do that, but I'll try it anyway very quickly. A guy goes to the SAS and decides he wants to join the SAS, and he's called Patrick, and he basically turns up and he says, so the big gaffer says to him, look, all you've got to do, I'm going to drop you from an aeroplane, and then you've just got to get back to base camp on time. A second late, you've had it. You're not in. So he says, no problem, I bet I'll be fine, I'll be fine. So he gets in the plane, gets dropped, poor Patrick, he comes crashing through these bloody trees and severs his arm. And, oh, poor Patrick. So anyway, but fair play to him, he stitches his arm up, legs it back to base camp, and the guy says to him, Patrick, I told you on time, you're not on time, you're a minute late. He said, for goodness sake, I've gone through the trees, I've cut my arm off, I've had to sew it back on, and 1 minute late. So he says, give me a minute, I'll go and talk to the gaffer. So he comes back and he says, Patrick, you're in. He says, that's really amazing. in the Middle East, they don't like the Flintstones. But in Abu Dhabi,